how I turned $500 into $37,000, well, almost, and a life in Thailand. How I moved here, how I got here. First of all, let me just start kind of at the beginning. Back in Palm Springs, I was working as a printing estimator. And 2 days before the business was set to shut down, the owner came and said, "Hey guys, I'm shutting it down." And I was like, "Oh no, I don't have a job. What am I going to do?" And so I started thinking about it, and I thought, he has the customer list. I can get the customer list. So instead of panicking, I thought, I'm going to talk to him. So the next day I went in, I said, "Listen, I'll give you $500 for the customer list." He said, "Okay." And he gave me some furniture. Then I went and I talked to a woman who had a golf cart shop next door. And she had a big space in the back of her place. And I could shut the door and nobody would know what was in front. She said, "I'll rent it to you for $100 a month." I went, I'm there. So over the weekend, I moved in. And then on Monday, I started calling the businesses and telling them what had happened, that the business was being shut down. But I was taking over, and I still have all their plates and all their materials, so everything was okay. And they were like, "Oh, okay, great, great." And I said, "And I might even give you a little bit cheaper price," because I got good deals from the printers because they were doing things in mass for me. And so I was a middleman. I was a broker. And the business was solid. I mean, like right away I was making money. I made anywhere from about $8,000 to $12,000 a month. And I was like, wow, this is great. Then I hired a delivery girl, and that made my life a lot easier. And life was pretty good. You know, I was like, all right, cool. After about, I'd say, a year and a half, I started going, you know, I'm a little bored because it didn't really take much work. Maybe I'd make a phone call. Maybe I'd have to look over one little file or something like that. Maybe I'd make a change. Maybe somebody would, you know, throw something new to me or something like that. But it was very, very easy. And so most of the time I'm sitting there doing nothing because I had made a few phone calls. Everything's in the works. All we have to do is pick it up and deliver it. It was very mundane. Take orders, forward files, look at files, make a few phone calls. And, you know, most of the time everything was on time. I didn't have any problems, you know, but people, they always want their stuff faster. And the clients never came to my shop. They never came to my shop. So I'm sitting there in my shop. I had this computer, and the computer at the time was very, very slow. It operated with a modem. I mean, this is 1994, something like that. And, you know, it was what it was. You know, it worked and it did some things, but it didn't do all that much. Somehow, I think it was because the guy next door, I had a couple of people that I talked to. My friend Ted, who had a whole album full of photos from Thailand, which was great because I get to look at them and I'd start getting motivated. The Dutch, they would tell me, "Oh, you must go to Thailand. There are great perks there. It's a great place to go." I had a Muay Thai instructor, and he'd always tell me that, you know, I should go there. And so I really started thinking about it. But the guy next door went to Indonesia, and he swore by Indonesia. He used to go there, and he used to buy all kinds of furniture, and then he would ship it back. He'd ship like a half container back, and then he would sell the stuff here, and it would pay for his trip, make him money, and he was golden, you know. And he was saying, "Oh yeah, I might want to think about it." So I did think about it. And I decided, because of my connection to Muay Thai, because of my connection to the Thais, I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go to Thailand. I think by now I had been to the Netherlands quite a bit. I've been to Europe. I've done several trips, quite a few trips. And I felt comfortable in a place where they didn't speak the language. So I thought, I'm going to do it. So that's what I did. Now, I was living with a girl at the time. And I told her, listen, I'll pay for everything, but I want you to go with me. And she said, to Thailand? And I said, yeah, to Thailand. She said, what do I want to go there for? It's filthy and they don't even speak English. And I just thought, okay, so where do you want to go? She wanted to go to Monaco. And I said, well, where's your sense of adventure? She didn't say anything. She just didn't want to go. I said, okay, great, that's fine. And it was better for me. So, that was it. I went alone, and I just put one foot in front of the other, and I went alone. Now, on the first trip, it might have been the second trip, I don't know, but maybe it's the first of a second trip, I went to the Golden Triangle. I went up to Chiang Mai, then I went to Chiang Rai, then, we took a boat, and we went way out into the jungle, and then we got elephants, and we went out into the villages, way up into the Golden Triangle. I loved it. And I was like, man, this is awesome. I just remember going down the river, thinking to myself, at the time, this is 31 years or so ago, $500 a month, and I got enough money here to okay, I'm not going to live great, but I would do okay. And I was like, man, that's fantastic. But I knew, listen, it doesn't always work out that way. You usually need more money than what you think. So then I went back again. And this time I went to Sagao, which is near the Cambodian border. I met a girl and I said, yeah, I'll go out there with you. So we go out there and we have a good time. It's great. And then, the next couple of times, I don't know where I went, but I went to Pattaya, went to Phuket, went to Kanchanaburi, and then, of course, I went to Nana Plaza, and this became my routine. I went to Nana Plaza, Soy Cowboy. Sometimes I'd go to Nassau, because Nassau was still around then. RCA, and, I really loved it. I thought, man, this is great. This is fantastic. So Thailand was working its magic, so to speak, and the seed was planted, and I'm like, hey, I got all this money, which really wasn't much, and I thought, I got money, I'm set. What do I need? I was thinking, what else do I need? And I just thought, you know what? I just need to do this because I'm young enough now. I was like 30 when I started thinking about this, 31. And I said, I'm young enough now. And I had made 5 trips to Thailand, and I just went, I got to do this. I got to do this. And I'm thinking, how can I do this? Then on the internet, and remember, the internet was piss poor back then. But I saw something about, hey, sell your business. We pay you money, that kind of thing. I started going, oh, yeah. And I started looking into it. And I'm thinking, I got to do this. Every waking hour, I'm thinking, I got to sell this business. And what happened was I realized I didn't have my act together. I was just winging it. I thought, okay, yeah, it's time to move on, but I didn't have any books. I didn't have clean financials, and selling it was going to be very tough. I didn't have like profit and loss, income and expenses, depreciation on the furniture and things like that. I just went, oh man, what am I going to do? And I was kind of dejected, and I kind of mentioned it to a printer that I knew that worked. He worked, a couple miles away, and I started talking to him about it. And he goes, that sounds like a pretty good deal. I go, what? Talking to me? And he goes, yeah. And so we hashed it out. We sat down, we talked. And the deal was he'd give me 10 grand up front, and he'd give me $1,500 a month for 18 months. And I went, okay, done. Shook hands, boom, we're done. I didn't think escrow. I didn't think any of that stuff, which I should have. So immediately I made 10 grand, and I had only put $500 into it. And I had been making money every month for like 2 years. So I figured, hey, I'm making out all right. And I thought, I got to have some money so that if things don't work out, I can just come back And I just start all over again. I'll have my fun for a year or so, and then whatever. So I sold the whole thing and decided to walk away. Now, I still had a girlfriend, but we weren't so close that we thought we were gonna get married or anything like that. We were into each other, we liked each other, and she was a good friend, she was a nice girl, and I think she probably felt the same way about me. And I just said, listen, I want to go. You don't want to go. I want to go, and I want to be gone for like a year. And she's like, well, okay, all right, if that's what you want, And I said, yeah, okay, cool. So, I set it all up, got the ticket, and boom. I packed up 3 bags. I don't remember them, all of them, but I do remember I had 3 bags. One was a green duffel bag. That one I remember. And I stuffed everything and anything I could, but most of it was VHS tapes. For some reason, I had to bring my VHS tapes. And then I had another bag, and I put my DVDs in there. I think they were DVDs. I'm not sure. But one bag was full of just nonsense, and that was kind of like DVDs and that sort of thing. And then another bag was just my clothes. So I had 3 bags. I had the duffel bag, which is full of junk. I had another bag, which might have been DVDs or it might have been VHS tapes. I don't remember. It's been a long time now. And one was just my clothes. I said, okay. Jump on the jet. Man, I had a van come and pick me up, take me all the way to LAX airport, and boom, I was on the plane. And I thought, this time I'm going there. I don't have to do anything. I have no responsibilities. This is not a vacation. This place is going to be my home for at least a year. I thought, this is beautiful. And I got there, and let me tell you something. I had scouted out a place to live. I already had a place to live. It was like 6,500 baht per month. It was very clean. It was very simple. And I had a little bit of furniture in the place. I had, it came with a bed. And I thought I was bringing in about 50,000, if I remember correctly, 45,000, 50,000 baht a month. And I was very comfortable. I didn't have a schedule. I had no obligations. And I thought to myself, what am I going to do? I don't have to do anything. I don't have people calling me going, where's my job? I don't have people going, hey, are you going to deliver that today? I don't have people saying, what time are you going to be home today, honey? I don't have any of that. And for me, I hadn't had that in, oh my God, I don't know, probably 15 years. Even before that, probably when I was 14 years old. So I thought, this is great. So I got into a routine, and it was, breakfast. Maybe I'd go for a walk, go check things out. In the early afternoon, I would go hit some bars, and Beer Garden was one of my favorite places on Soi 7. That's when it was really happening. I don't think it's anywhere near what it used to be now, and everything was different. Now there's a lot of new stuff there, and then, sometimes, basically I would just go home early evening. I mean, like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. I'd have a little dinner. Sometimes I'd bring a little company with me. And then, 8, 9 o'clock, I'd say, all right, it's time to go out again. And I would make the rounds. And I would go to Nana Plaza. I'd go to Nana Disco. I think it's Angel Disco. But, back then we used to know it just Nana Disco. And sometimes I go to Patpong. Sometimes I go to RCA. I go to Hard Rock. I go to Sheraton, Rivas. I'd go to the Erewhon, Hyatt. Then there was a place, I can't remember, CM2. I don't remember the name of the hotel now, but it's over there by the Hard Rock. And it was called CM2. Okay? And then, of course, late at night, Therme. That was like, it was like clockwork. I go boom, 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 boom. I'd go to all kinds of places. But Terme was the place that was open until 6, 7 in the morning. I mean, they were open all night long. This is before the closures started happening. And I just love the place. I mean, I'd hang out, talk to people. I'd just stand there talking, maybe drink a beer or drink a soda or whatever it was. Drink a Red Bull. Sometimes we talk to ladies, whatever. And then, I did that for a couple years. And then in 1998, Clinton Plaza opened, but it didn't have a name. But in 99, early 99, it became Clinton Plaza. And I really liked the place. It's really a pretty cool place. And it was my go-to spot for a while. And so that's where I went. It was like, the fresh place. It was just packed with energy, the White House and Monica's, whatever it was called. I forget what it was called, but Monica's something or other. It was all based on Bill Clinton. Very cool place. And, I spent a lot of time there. But sadly, in my eyes, it was sadly, in 2003, they closed the place. The whole area closed, and then, I don't know, they may have I forget the name of the hotel there, but they built a hotel. It may even have an apartment complex there. I don't even remember now. But they built like a hotel there, and boom, that was it. Clinton was gone. Okay. So now the thing is that, I had moved there and things were going really good. But of course, I got money coming in. And I had money. Well, that money was basically gone, so I just had the money coming in every month. And I'm having a good time with it, doing my thing. This is well before Clinton, okay? But because things changed. Things changed, and I'll get into that in the next episode of this. But, I used to go to all these places, and I just, that's where my money went. I just thought, hey, man, this is what life's about. I'm going to have a good time. And so I got to know all these places, Jet, Country Road, Hot Shots, all these places I got to know. And I just thought, oh, man, this is cool. Wow, man. Hey, have you been, I talked to one, somebody that I knew. Hey, man, have you been to that new place over there? Oh, no. How is it? Oh, it's great, man. Yeah, all right, let's go. How about we go tonight? Oh, well, tomorrow's better. Okay. It was just, and I was a little older. Even then, I was like 32, 31, 32. I think 32. I was 32. But after a little while, I started getting burnout. Really after a year, I started getting burnout, and it just wasn't quite as fun. It's kind of like a heroin junkie who he takes a hit and he goes, oh wow, so good. But then the next time he takes a hit, it takes him more. He needs more to be able to, get the same feeling. So anyway, in the next episode, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about, once I got here, what happened, what I did, and then when I came back, the list of things, the places that I worked and things that I did to be able to get by here and survive. And now it's a completely different story, and it's been different for quite some time. But I'll get into that. So stay tuned. I'm Scott. I'm an American in Bangkok. And until next time, Chok Di Leo Jerken Mai. That's good luck, and see you again.